can't forget the Corgis. They were Her Majesty's absolute favourite. She grew up with Corgis. Her father, George VI, gifted her a Corgi when she was little, and from then on I think a love affair was cemented because the Queen kept Corgis for her entire life, and she was never without them trailing behind her, sort of yapping at anyone that dared to try and stroke them. They would only allow the Queen to stroke them, and the Queen would often be the one to feed them, hand-selected cuts of rabbit, I hasten to add. So who's going to look after the Corgis? Well, she has two, Sandy and Muick. Muick is named after one of her favourite rivers in Scotland. The Corgis have actually already been given to Prince Andrew. He spent a lot of time with the Queen in the last months. I think he was one of the few who the Corgis didn't try and bite, and he seemed to have a good rapport with them, so it was the Queen's wish that Sandy and Muick went to Andrew. Well as her love of Corgis, which is of course well known, is her love of horses. The Queen wasn't just a wonderful equestrian, a great horsewoman who actually rode well into her 90s. And she was also a very professional, serious horse owner. She had a keen interest in horse racing, and she owns racehorses. So the master of the horse, John Warren, who actually walked behind her procession as she went to lay in state, will be the man in charge of working out exactly what happens now to the Queen's horses. I do know that it was Her Majesty's wish that that love of horses and racing is continued through the next generation. Camilla, Queen Consort, is also a big fan of horse racing, and she also owns a racehorse with the Prince of Wales, so I think there's every chance that she will inherit some of the Queen's racehorses. Possibly some of them will be sold. But in terms of that affiliation between royals and racing, which has really kept the sport alive in Britain, I think that's going to be very much down to Camilla to continue. The royals have always had a love affair with horses. I mean, in the Queen's case, that's through racing. She used to read the Racing Post before she read anything else at breakfast, which she took, of course, out of her Tupperware containers. But for the other royals, big love affair with polo. Polo horses weren't the Queen's thing. What she does have is a collection of some very majestic, first-class horse racers bred to race.